The infinite scroll. You're lying in bed, utterly exhausted, yet your thumb systematically swipes past faces, memes, and tragedies for an hour. This isn't relaxation, it's variable ratio reinforcement, the exact same psychological mechanism engineered into casino slot machines. Your brain's dopamine pathways are lighting up not from the actual reward of a good video, but from the desperate anticipation that the next swipe might be the jackpot. The paradox of the infinite scroll is that it doesn't make you happy. It chemically induces a mild dissociative state. You are not consuming content. The content is consuming your awareness, temporarily anesthetizing your baseline anxiety by overwhelming your working memory. But what happens when visual stimulation isn't enough and silence becomes the enemy you have to defeat just to survive your own living room? The background noise. The exact moment you step into your house, you turn on a podcast, a YouTube video, or a sitcom you've already watched 5 times. You tell yourself you just like the background noise, but neurologically, you are actively suppressing your default mode network. The DMN is the brain network responsible for self-reflection, daydreaming, and processing emotional backlog. When you drown out silence with constant audio, you aren't unwinding. You are putting your psychological debt on a high-interest credit card. You fear the silence because that is the exact environment where your suppressed thoughts, regrets, and anxieties finally get the microphone. Yet sometimes audio isn't strong enough to numb an overactive nervous system, which brings us to the most socially acceptable, heavily marketed anesthetic on earth: the caloric sedative. It's 9 p.m., you've survived a brutal day of stress, and suddenly a family-sized bag of chips or a pint of ice cream vanishes into thin air. You blame a lack of willpower, but science calls this self-medication. Hyper-palatable foods, specifically engineered combinations of refined fats, sugars, and salt, trigger massive endorphin and serotonin releases in the gut and brain. They act as literal biochemical sedatives, temporarily crashing your cortisol, the primary stress hormone. The twist? The come down is worse than the baseline. Post-binge, your blood sugar plummets, spiking anxiety anew and trapping you in a vicious biological loop where your chosen cure is actively manufacturing the disease. But what if your numbing behavior doesn't look like a vice at all? What if it looks exactly like success? The productivity illusion. You organize your inbox into color-coded folders, rewrite your to-do list for the 3rd time today, and spend hours researching software tools you will never actually buy. This is called action faking. Your brain rewards you with a dopamine hit for the feeling of progress, completely bypassing the terrifying friction of actual execution. You are numbing the anxiety of facing hard, meaningful work by burying yourself in trivial, low-stakes tasks. Being busy has become your trauma response. By keeping your cognitive load at maximum capacity with shallow busy work, you ensure there is zero processing power left to confront the paralyzing void of imposter syndrome or fear of failure. While some hide behind spreadsheets, others escape to entirely different realities where the rules actually make sense. The digital alter ego. You log into a massive multiplayer game, an RPG, or a competitive shooter, and suddenly the next 6 hours evaporate. Video games are masterclasses in hacking the self-determination theory. They systematically provide the psychological nutrients that modern reality often denies. Autonomy. You make clear choices. Competence, you level up and see tangible progress. And relatedness, you join a squad or guild. You aren't addicted to the pixelated graphics. You are addicted to the feeling of competence that your real life currently lacks. The game provides a perfectly predictable environment where your effort reliably equals a reward, a stark, comforting contrast to the chaotic unfairness of the real world. Speaking of chaos, some people don't want to escape reality. They want to fight it, using anger as a surprisingly potent painkiller. The outrage cycle. You find yourself deep in the comments section of a polarizing post, your heart racing as you furiously type paragraphs to strangers you will never meet. Anger is a high arousal emotion that triggers a massive dump of adrenaline and noradrenaline. More importantly, righteous indignation releases a surge of dopamine. When you feel right and someone else is wrong, your brain's reward centers light up with the same intensity as they would for a line of cocaine. Outrage is the ultimate numbing agent for feelings of powerlessness. You engage in these digital micro-battles to manufacture a synthetic sense of control and moral superiority, perfectly masking a deeper, underlying despair about the lack of agency in your own life. When fighting strangers loses its edge, we inevitably try to buy the control we crave, one cardboard box at a time. The retail therapy fallacy. You add items to your cart late at night. The emotional thrill peaks the exact second you click Buy Now. But when the package actually arrives 3 days later, it sits unopened on your kitchen counter. This is driven by the anticipation asymmetry. Dopamine is primarily a molecule of seeking, not of having. The neurochemical high peaks during the hunt, browsing, comparing, fantasizing, and plummets the moment the acquisition is complete. You aren't actually buying a product. You are buying the temporary, idealized version of yourself who owns that product. The moment it arrives, the fantasy collapses back into mundane reality, and the numbing effect wears off instantly. And when products fail to fill the void, we inevitably turn to people, not for connection, but for anesthesia. The social chameleon. You say yes to every single invitation, you stay late at every party, and you constantly mold your personality to perfectly mirror whoever you are currently standing next to. Chronic people-pleasing and over-socializing is not extroversion. It is an active avoidance strategy. By obsessively managing other people's perceptions and emotional states, you outsource your self-worth. It's a hyper-vigilant trauma response designed to ensure your safety through ultimate compliance. You are surrounded by people, yet you feel profoundly lonely. Why? Because the person they are praising and validating is a meticulously crafted avatar, not the real you. You use their superficial approval to numb the terrifying vulnerability of being truly seen. You aren't connecting, you are hiding in plain sight, and until you stop running, the numbness will always win.